Hello class, this is Wade Renando with a study guide on the midterm exams that will be covering chapters 1 through 7 minus chapter 5. And this is basically a very brief PowerPoint presentation video that more or less goes over the study guide I posted on JNet. This is essentially the same as that. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of information about what will be on the test to help narrow it down a little bit. And we're going to go over some of the basic topics that will be on the test. I'm going to have the test available starting Monday this week, and it will be available from Monday through Sunday, so it will be available for a week that you can take. It will start on November 6th, and you will be able to take it anytime between November 6th and November 12th. You will only be able to take the test one time, and you will have 90 minutes to do it. This is not an open book test. I expect you to take it without any assistance, and there will be 90 questions, 75 true-false questions, 75 multiple choice questions, and then 15 matching, where I give you a sentence with a blank and you select from a drop-down menu what the correct answer is for each blank. So of the major topics that will be discussed, it will be things that have been in the book with a few minor exceptions. Lines of latitude, longitude, and other lines on the globe will be covered. Know what latitude is and longitude. Of course, latitude are lines that start at the equator and measure north to south. They are parallel to each other. And lines of longitude start at London, Greenwich Mean area, and then they measure east and west from the prime meridian, which is in London. So make sure you review those. We'll also talk about basic map concepts, parts of the map, such as the scale, the legend of the map, understand what scale is. Remember, a map that is a large scale map has objects that look larger, and a small scale map covers a larger area, but in less detail. So understand basics of maps and scales. Sometimes scales can be a little tricky. And various types of maps, such as categorical maps, choropleth maps, and other types of maps. Know basic information about the composition of the Earth's atmosphere. What are the main gases in the Earth's atmosphere? Know basic geography about the Earth, such as major continents, oceans, the largest to smallest, major deserts, such as the Sahara. What's the longest and largest rivers in the world? The longest, of course, is the Nile. The largest would be the Amazon by the amount of water it moves. Also know the Earth's population. It's about 7.2 billion people at the moment. And understand the basics of projections, what GIS means, and remote sensing and other concepts like that. Also, you need to know economic concepts like gross domestic product, gross national income per capita, national rate of inflation, economic growth, and other ways of measuring the economy. Also know plate tectonics. There are different kinds of plate boundaries, convergent plate boundaries moving away from each other, rubbing against each other, transformative plate boundaries. So know the basics of plate tectonics and plate boundaries, and know the causes of natural disasters, such as volcanoes, hurricanes, and so on. The basics of that. So also know the world climate regions, and make sure you thoroughly understand the Köppen system of world climate regions. That's the a European geographer in the early 20th century who divided up the Earth into different categories and then named them A, B, and so on. A is mostly tropical climates, B mostly deserts and steppes, C is mid-latitude mild climates, and then within those there are subgroups. So thoroughly understand the Köppen system of climate classifications. Know the basics of topography, rain shadows, and El Nino, which is a major weather pattern. Understand the types and causes of pollution, countries that are currently causing the most pollution, and so on. Understand the basics of water stress and desertification, and the importance of aquifers. Understand the heat island effect. We talked about that, and it's been in the book. That's when you have a massive urban area And the lack of shade, the lack of vegetation, the large numbers of cars can significantly increase the heat of that urban area compared to more rural areas around it. Atlanta's notorious for this. Houston, a lot of massive southern car-centric cities have lots of concrete, lots of parking, lots of roads and buildings, relatively little vegetation. And because of all of these factors, it can increase the temperature of the city. Look at invasive species, specifically sea lamprey, zebra mussels. Know what they are, especially ones related to the Great Lakes. Understand the start of Earth Day and the cause of Earth Day. In the 1960s and 70s, pollution was very bad, and the Cuyahoga River in Cleveland caught on fire. It was not the first or last river to catch on fire, but that kind of started a momentum where the first Earth Day was created in 1970, and then the Clean Water Act was passed by President Nixon 2 years later in 1972. So remember what Earth Day is and the Clean Water Act is. Know different kinds of renewable energy. Wind and solar are the most common, also geothermal energy and biomass. In Michigan, the most common renewable energy is wind. Hydroelectric power is also fairly common in Michigan. Solar power is becoming very common globally, and the price of solar is rapidly dropping. So know about renewable energy and different kinds of renewable energy. Understand different demographic trends in North America and the historical evolution of the city and urban areas in North America. Where has the pattern of movement been in North America, in which direction, and how have major cities evolved? Understand population pyramids. Those are very important. Those are those charts that break down different age groups into 5-year blocks and separate them into male and female. Certain population pyramids, such as the United Arab Emirates, you can clearly see there are a lot more men than women in certain age groups, such as 20 to 35, because they have so many male foreign laborers in those countries, and that distorts the population pyramid. So understand population pyramids. When you have one with a very wide base, it means there are a large number of younger people. When it's wider at the top, such as Japan, you have a larger number of older people. So understand population pyramids thoroughly. Understand the concept of cultural homelands. Also, other economic terms such as sectorial transformation, connectivity, globalization, location factors, and outsourcing. Know the geographic boundaries and major landforms of different regions, specifically Latin America, So of these different regions, where exactly do they cover? Obviously, Sub-Saharan Africa is the continent of Africa, minus the areas that border the Mediterranean. Latin America includes Mexico, Central America down south to the southern tip of South America. Understand megacities and urban primacy, know what those are. Understand the Treaty of Tordesillas. That is when the Pope in the late 1400s kind of divided up what was the world at the time between the Portuguese and the Spanish. Also understand neoliberal economic policies and maquiladores, dollarization, and remittances. Neoliberal economic policies have become more common since the end of the Cold War, starting in about the 1990s. And the basic idea is bringing down barriers, encouraging trade, encouraging foreign investments, and so on. Some people have complained that these economic policies often encourage undermining basic social services and undercutting them in order to balance the budgets of certain countries. So understand the good and bad of those and what dollarization, remittances, and maquiladores are. Understand the Human Development Index, what it comprises of. Also understand growth rates, fertility rates, rate of natural increase, what those entail. And again, major landforms in each region. That means major rivers, lakes, mountains, and so on in each region. It's important to know the largest countries by population in each of the regions, and also some of the largest cities. A number of people and population characteristics of these different regions. Is a certain region, say like Sub-Saharan Africa, relatively young compared to other world regions? Is it relatively old? No transhumance, no HIV and AIDS in Sub-Saharan Africa, and indigenous and world religions in Africa, and European colonization and decolonization in Africa, such as when did European colonization and decolonization take place. Also know about foreign investments in Africa, which countries are making significant investments in the region. One country in particular has, and understand water issues that challenge Southwest Asia and North Africa. Of course, Southwest Asia and North Africa is a region almost commonly called the Middle East, and compared to other regions, it's very water stressed. There are lots of deserts in the region. Understand deforestation. That's an issue that has been a major environmental problem throughout much of the world. And also Socotra, that's that unique island off the Horn of Africa that has many unique species. And also understand settlement patterns in Southwest Asia and North Africa. Also settlement patterns in all regions. Really, is a certain region mostly urban, mostly rural, mostly suburban? Are people moving from rural areas to urban areas? And understand the settlement patterns of different areas. Also religious and important religious cities in Southwest Asia and North Africa, and understand the Kurds. This is an important ethnic group in the Middle East. They are actually a large ethnic group that do not have a country of their own. They're divided between the Iraq, Syria, Iran, and Turkey. So know some basic information about them. So, so far this class has had a lot of online quizzes, which you're allowed to take multiple times before sending them in, and the assignments, which have been practically pass-fail. So to warn you, this is definitely a little tougher than those projects. I've given this test and a test similar to this for many years now, and the results have been consistently about 75% correct. So the average grade has been about a C. I've never given a test where at least a quarter of the class didn't get 90% or above, but be warned, compared to what we've had so far in class, this is a little tougher. There's a lot to cover. But if you know the material well, and if you use this study guide, and if you've been paying attention and taking notes and putting in the time, there's no reason why you should not be able to get a good grade. So if you have any questions, please email me and let me know. I have not done a test like this before, so there might be some technical issues. I certainly hope not, but you never know when you haven't done anything like this before. But again, the test will be available starting Monday of this week, ending Sunday, and you can only take it once, and it might be a little challenging compared to the rest of the class, but if you've studied thoroughly, you should be able to handle it. Give me an email if you have any questions. Have a good day.